really ticks me off is that this company, RT, spends so much money on voice actors. They just made Genlock. They had Michael B. Jordan, Dakota Fanning, I think, or her sister, I forget. But they're hiring these like voice actors that are going to cost so much money while they're just allegedly screwing over the animators, treating them like absolute trash. That's disgusting. And this is supposed to be a progressive company, by the way. Oh my god. Employees for Rooster Teeth Animation have been coming out over the last number of days, accusing them of unfair business practices, specifically regarding crunch time and a lack of payment for overtime hours that they worked. Now, the White Knights for Rooster Teeth, in a fit of complete denial for the malpractice that this is, are defending the company so staunchly, and it's rather sickening to see. These people are being taken advantage of, the employees, absolutely taken advantage of, and the fact that people are okay with that simply because Rooster Teeth is the company behind this alleged malpractice is honestly disgusting. Take a look at some of the Glassdoor reviews really quickly before we move into the story here. So the white knighting portion will be coming right up. We're going to take a look at some of the Glassdoor reviews really quick just to fill you in if you haven't seen them, and then we'll show you the white knighting, unbelievable stuff. Advice to management. Management has been using a weird method to try and de-escalate hard feelings about crunch. They're acting like counselors who are there to talk and to try and find coping mechanisms to deal with crunch. Management is terrible. Artists are led on with the promises of full-time employment and benefits dangling in front of them without ever being addressed, and ultimately are never given. There is no paid overtime. Artists had to fight for their right to time off between productions, and good luck getting any form of benefits despite them being plastered on the wall. Another review: extremely poor management, insanely high expectations, very low compensation. I've worked here for years and make entry pay. Some people have gone multiple years with no raise. No overtime pay. Every season of RWBY and Genlock gets about 1/3 or less made for free because no one gets paid overtime, and it's not uncommon to work hundreds of hours of overtime. Toxic work environment, etc., etc. You guys get the idea. And this just, this came out a few days ago, and a short amount of time later, a few days later, Gray, the head of animation for Rooster Teeth, stepped down. So you can argue that these reviews might be inaccurate or false, but Gray stepped down for a reason, and there are also corroborating testimonies going with these reviews. On top of the reviews corroborating each other, there is a very well-known figure in the Rooster Teeth community who also backed these claims up. That person being Jordan Whitman, a former creator of Rooster Teeth's animated series Nomad of Nowhere, had a huge long Twitter thread where he backed these statements up with his own experiences. If you want to see that, I will leave a link in the description. And now let's get into the white knighting. Okay, now take a look at some of these white knights and get ready to be rather speechless. One dude says, "Of course most people are just using the pain of people struggling in this broken system as a scapegoat to paint the people in Rooster Teeth as the monsters they always believe they are." Because clearly they really aren't monsters, even though they are allegedly forcing people to work overtime without payment. Yeah, only good people would do that. Sure. That's the thing that's bothering me. We already had gremlins jumping into the bagwagon on Vic. Now this. I just hope to gods that no a-holes ask questions related to this at RTX, and that they announce to do some damage control on crunch. At least this white knight admits that the crunch issue is just that, an issue, but calling, people gremlins and bringing up Vic. Why are you bringing Vic up? This is not even related to Vic, but if you want to make it related to Vic, we certainly could. I mean, I love Vic as Crow, but if this is really the route RT wants to go down, maybe it's better that Vic is no longer associated with them. Maybe them severing ties with Vic was actually beneficial to Vic. I don't know. Maybe. Admitting to crunch time is not bad. Like, it's natural. Welcome to work, especially in production. You have crunches, deadlines to make in short periods. Extra work, this isn't a new thing. Now, claiming they work 80 hours a week is, not gonna lie, ridiculous. That's basically working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, which is a huge claim that no one has any proof of. It's ridiculously out there. Just saying. And they add no paid overtime? What? What company could manage running their employees 12 hours a day, 7 days a week with no overtime? That doesn't happen. FLSA is a thing. Legally, they couldn't. Seriously, no company could get away with that. Well, they could until they get put on blast for it, which is going on now. And, allegedly this has been going on, and there are sources that seem pretty credible saying that this is indeed the case, as we saw with the Nomad of Nowhere, ex-Nomad of Nowhere employee, I should say. Continuing on. Then a little argument broke out between this white knight and a reasonable person known as Dallas. I'm sorry, I should calm down a little bit, but this is a very upsetting topic. You don't mess with people's livelihoods like this. You really don't. RWBY writes, Simply, I can go online right now and make the exact same claims. I can easily make a statement very similar to the ones on there. There's no verification process. They were talking about Vic earlier. How funny would it be if this RWBY person was also on Kick Vic? Kick Vic, who we've been saying can just go and make these allegations up, and then they go and use the same argument against us. Now, I don't know if this RWBY person is Kick Vic or not, but it just seems really funny to me that they're using the same kind of argument. Reasonable person Dallas writes, right, but just because there is no verification process doesn't mean that it's not true. There's active proof now from accounts of Miles, Carrie, Bernie saying on the podcast about Crunch to now show creators coming out and saying, yeah, this is an issue. So allegedly, yeah, Miles, Carrie, Bernie talked about Crunch previously, maybe not the extent of it, but they mentioned it on a podcast, so that all adds up. RWBY then writes, correct, that doesn't mean it's true either, kind of how this works. Admitting to a crunch and suggesting people work 100 plus hours a week is so different. And Dallas calls him out, says, you have the creator of an animated Rooster Teeth show confirming that everything the Glassdoor review said is true. I'm done. You're way too biased for Rooster Teeth to realize that this situation is horrible for everyone because you like their show so much. And that's, again, what ticks me off. These white knights will white knight for a company even when they are completely messing with people's lives. That's really what it comes down to. And it's not even just those individuals' lives, but their families' lives as well. Another RTWK, Rooster Teeth White Knight, jumped in and said, someone that worked on a Rooster Teeth show saying they had a really bad experience doesn't mean those claims on Glassdoor are true either. That's not how it works. This person I know for a fact is Kick Vic, by the way, and I have seen this person, if I recall, I might be recalling wrong, so don't take my word as fact. I'm just going to say allegedly I've seen this person use this argument, like I said, about corroborating testimonies being evidence, and then here you have them turning a blind eye to corroborating testimonies as evidence when it's not fitting their agenda. How typical. How absolutely typical. The response to that from Jordan was, I am literally verifying what my actual friends posted there are telling the truth. The people I worked with and love. I am putting myself out there at risk to tell you it's true. RTWK then says, all of those reviews are from your friends? Okay then, if they contacted you to tell you that they did, and those aren't just random people who posted those reviews, then sure. Jordan, the reasonable person, says, I like Rooster Teeth and what they stand for. A lot of us were hurt and want it fixed and to help others down the road. And that's what it comes down to. You can still like Rooster Teeth and like them, in the sense that you want to see them change this around and better their practices. You can like their work and not agree with their business practices. You know what I mean? You can like the productions that they make. I personally don't really like the productions they make aside from RWBY, but you are more than welcome to. That's fine. Doesn't mean that you also support the alleged poor business practices. So for people that still like the shows that RT makes and want to see them better their business practices, I have no issue with that at all. Another white knight said, my only question is, why should we care? Because I'm not seeing a reason to. This one was absolutely unbelievable. Like, how much of a self-entitled DOUCHEBAG do you have to be to even have a mindset like that? Next, oh boy, have a whole thing here with that same white knight that we saw earlier, the B. The B. Man. All right, okay, here's the top of it. So Apotheus writes, the RWBY fandom is so delusional, LMAO. Even when someone shows them the truth behind their favorite show, they continue to look Rooster Teeth's butt. Glassdoor isn't a reliable source of information, but Iran Zek is pathetic. For those of you that don't know, Iran Zek is a voice actress on RWBY, on Rooster Teeth, and also the voice of Blake Belladonna on RWBY. The B, aka RTWK, aka Rooster Teeth White Knight, then says, Or, Glassdoor isn't a reliable source and a bunch of anonymous reviews are proof of Jack Shit. And I'm being very careful with censoring myself now. Guys, the algorithm has been getting, honestly, more uptight than ever recently. I'm getting yellowed videos left and right. It's really maddening. I'm sorry about that. Let's continue. Maybe that's why people don't believe it. I mean, Kalaxin read a bunch of Glassdoor reviews that made working at her job sound like absolute HE double hockey sticks. But when she started working there, she found out those people were full of SHIT. So you're going to tell me that, the reviews are anonymous so you can't count them, and then you're going to use anecdotal evidence. That's how pathetic these people's arguments are. Absolutely no logic involved. The reason people believe Erin, not Glassdoor, is because she isn't a bunch of anonymous reviews that can just be the same person. The Nomad of Nowhere dude was not an anonymous person either. Let's see what Apotheosis says. If they're not anonymous, they lose their job, right? If their work conditions are already bad, it's not very useful to lose their job too. Which, by the way, I mean, that would fall under, whistleblowing and all that. So if they did lose their job for that, oh boy, RT could be in real trouble. But I can understand the employees not wanting to get involved with that trouble anyways. They probably don't want the headache. I'm just saying. They just want a decent life without being pushed and treated like slaves. Exactly. So whistleblowing thing I just said kind of falls with that. These people might have the law on their side, but it would still be a pain. They still might lose their job. They still might get retaliated against and have to fight against that legally. So it would still be a pain and you know what? And they just don't want to deal with that. I don't believe Kalaxin is out of the topic. And I agree. This is anecdotal. Why are you even bringing that up? If you don't know who Kalaxin is, it doesn't even matter. Don't worry about it. The White Knight then says, not really out of the topic because I was making a comparison. And again, I'm not buying a bunch of anonymous reviews. That can be anyone with a grudge. Sorry. Literally, this person is Kick Vic. Literally, this person believes anonymous accusations against Vic, but they don't believe anonymous accusations against Rooster Teeth. This kind of hypocrisy, bro, you're a piece of work. That's all I got to say, man. We have some more things to take a look at here. We're not done yet. Let me scroll this up. The White Knight then says, and Glassdoor is a known reliable source. So I don't just see it as just being me. How did you phrase it? Licking Rooster Teeth's ASS. Apotheosis says, yes, and I don't have the right to think some people are literally licking Rooster Teeth's ASS. And then the White Knight says, I mean, sure, you can think that. Maybe the only reasonable thing the White Knight has said in this post. Maybe the only reasonable thing they've said in a long time, too. Continuing on. We have that same White Knight going off here, saying, but again, you are acting like it's the truth when Glassdoor is on the same level as Wikipedia and Rotten Tomatoes when it comes to reliability. If it was from a more reliable source, then I think there would be a case. Oh my goodness. Here's the thing, not saying some of these accusations couldn't be true, but I'm also not saying they couldn't be false. My issue is you're acting like people at RT are ASS lickers because they don't buy it from a website that has a very poor reliability track record. Yes, because each time there's a bad news about Rooster Teeth, people defend them without knowing everything. Like it's someone from their family, it became an obsession. Or they know the website is unreliable, read the reviews, and think it's full of nonsense. But no, that's the kind way to put it. Have to say they are all obsessed to the point that they ignore everything bad about Rooster Teeth. That's the more likely answer. Another reason I'm really skeptical about this is that these accusations are just being compiled this year. If they are supposed to be anonymous, why are they now coming out? They could have been complaining about the company at any time. And then someone says, or it's a load of crock. I guess we'll see. So as you guys can see, the White Knighting is ridiculously strong. Here's another one. Holy smokes, look at this. This White Knight writes, Rooster Teeth, we've heard what you have to say and are doing XYZ to improve things. Certain people put away torches and instead make makeshift flamethrowers. Like, God, I've seen some ridiculous things, but this is just stupid. This is kind of phrased weirdly, so let me explain if you don't get it, but I have a feeling you probably all got it. But just in case, basically this person is implying that Rooster Teeth acknowledged the issue and said that they are taking steps of fixing it, and then this person's complaining that people aren't satisfied with that. People aren't satisfied with their answer because, well, I talked about this in the video yesterday if you saw it already, but it just comes off as a very hollow apology. They didn't acknowledge the lack of payment in their statement. They just said that Gray Haddock, the head of animation for RT, was stepping down. And they didn't acknowledge the paying issue. They didn't really acknowledge the crunch time. They didn't really even make an apology. They simply said that they're going to try to better things going forward and Gray is stepping down. It was, in my opinion, a very hollow apology. And a lot of people seem to agree with me on that. My 2 cents on the whole Rooster Teeth crunch thing, no one asked for, but I'm putting it out there anyway. RT has come right out and said they were working to improve various things. Better than a ton of other places that deny it's a thing or defend it. Still love Rooster Teeth. Still respect Rooster Teeth. Oh my goodness. Like I said, it's one thing to still enjoy the animated shows that they produce, or their other shows they produce, whatever. But to say you respect them still, you love and respect them, oh gosh, oh man. I've said all I need to say about this. This kind of blind white knighting isn't good for Rooster Teeth. Rooster Teeth, at this rate, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they end up out of business at some point, or if Fullscreen / Warner, whatever, AT&T ends up, you know, trying to sell them off, or just gets rid of them entirely. I really wouldn't be surprised if in a few years that's the case. And maybe I would be surprised and it would happen sooner than a few years. Who knows? But at this rate, things are not going good for Rooster Teeth. They've already had problems, and what really ticks me off is that this company, RT, spends so much money on voice actors. They just made Genlock. They had Michael B. Jordan, Dakota Fanning, I think, or her sister, I forget. But they're hiring these like voice actors that are going to cost so much money, while they're just allegedly screwing over the animators, treating them like absolute trash. That's disgusting. And this is supposed to be a progressive company, by the way. Oh my god. Oh wow, that's enough of that crap. I definitely feel bad for the animators who allegedly are getting shafted like this. Not okay at all. It is truly disgusting, and it's disturbing that these white knights are, well, even a thing, to be honest. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed, please give it a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so your subscription can actually work. And on that note, if you share the video, that would be much appreciated. The people who shared the last video I released almost 2 hours ago now do not watch Attack on Titan unless you support Daniel Jack, Random Fandom, and Paragon Langston of Amtgard. Thank you guys for tweeting that video out. It definitely does help. And, well, that's the end of this one. If you'd like to join the Discord, we'd love to have you. Now with almost 3,500 members, we'll see you there. And if not, well, I'll catch you next time.